Alright guys, this is your video for 4.2. We're going to find area of triangles today. So remember, a triangle we talked a little bit about yesterday. Pretty simple. It's just a three-sided 2D shape. There's lots of different types of triangles. Isosceles, equilateral, scalene, acute, obtuse, and right are all different ways of classifying a triangle by their angles or by their sides. But it doesn't really matter what type of triangle it is when you're finding the area. So no matter what type of triangle is, the area formula is always the same. So make sure you have your notes out. You're going to be following along with the video while I explain things here. So take a look at that white shape you see on the second slide there. That is a rectangle. But watch carefully. When I drag that apart, we can now see that that's two triangles. And if we get even more specific here, not only is that rectangle two triangles, but if we flip that first triangle around and lay it on top of the second one, we can see it's exactly the same size as that first rectangle, or first triangle. So that one rectangle turned into two triangles that are exactly the same size. So in other words, a triangle is half of a rectangle that has the same base and height. So what's the area formula for a triangle then? Well, let's think about what the area formula for a rectangle or really any parallelogram is. Remember we learned about parallelograms yesterday. A parallelogram is any four-sided shape that has two sets of parallel sides, and a rectangle is a parallelogram. So we learned that parallelograms, rectangles, their area formula is base times height. Well, if a triangle is half of a rectangle, and the rectangle's area formula is base times height, then a triangle's formula must be base times height divided by 2, because that would be half of base times height. Now, we're going to use this one because I think that that's just easier to use for students, but you also will sometimes see the formula written like this: 1/2 times base times height. Multiplying by 1/2 is the same as dividing by 2. There's a problem in your homework tonight. It's one of those what did they do wrong problems. And they show it using the formula like this. So they show doing 1/2 times some dimensions. Them using the 1/2 is not their error. That is okay to do 1/2 multiplied by base and height. It would give you the same answer as if you did base and height divided by 2. But we're going to do base and height divided by 2 because usually students find more success dividing by 2 than with using a fraction. So, now it says where's the base and the height? Don't forget the base and the height must form a blank. So think back to yesterday when we did parallelograms. We talked about that the base would be down here, but the height's not here. Height should be a straight line that goes from one base to the other and makes a 90-degree angle with the bases. So that's what it says under here. The base and height must form a 90-degree angle, or right angle means the same thing. And that's true for triangles. That's going to be true for really every shape we do in Chapter 4. Your base and your height need to form a 90-degree angle. So let's label base and height on our triangles here. I'm going to do the first one, and then I'm going to pause and give you a minute to pause the video and see if you can do the other ones on your own. Now, if you look, two of these triangles have this symbol here. We talked about this yesterday as well. That's the 90-degree symbol. So that means these two lines form a 90-degree angle. Well, if they form a 90-degree angle, and that's what base and height are supposed to do, that means these two lines are your base and your height. We would call this one base because typically base is the one on the bottom, and we'd call that one your height. This line doesn't matter at all for finding your area. So think about that for your other triangles here. You need a base and a height. Think back to when we did parallelograms. Sometimes you have to draw in a line that creates a 90-degree angle with your base and your height, and you are going to have to do that with a few of your triangles here. So take a minute and pause and see if you can label base and height on these triangles by yourself, and then when you're done, unpause and see if you've gotten it correct. Okay, let's look at these. Now the next easiest one to do would be this one here, because this also is a right triangle, we call this, because it has a right angle. So I would probably call this one base and this one height, but it doesn't really matter. The line that it's sitting on, the one that its bottom is, we can't really call base or height because it doesn't make the 90-degree angle. So you could call this one base or height, and this one could be base or height, so long as these two sides are the two that you labeled. Now these two are the trickier ones. because there isn't a 90-degree angle in the triangle. So we're going to have to create a height. Now base, I'll just call the one that it's on its bottom. And then from the very top here, I would want to draw a line down, a straight line that makes a 90-degree angle at the base. And that would be my height. Here, this would be my base. Here would be a good example of showing how sometimes we can draw the height outside of the shape. That would be the height, but you also could have done it over here and made sure that it was the same height as your line over here. You could have done it in the middle of the shape, although people tend not to do that usually because it just looks kind of funky. But any of those would have worked. Same thing over here, you could have drawn a height outside of the shape on the left or the right side, and that would also be accurate. So long as your height is the same length as the one that I drew up here, you're good. So let's look at some examples. Find the area. These look a lot like the ones we just did, but now with the height drawn in. So example 1, we have sides of 5, 8, and 10. We first need to figure out, okay, there's 3 sides there, but I don't need all 3 sides to find area. Remember, the area is base times height divided by 2. There's only 2 variables I need to substitute in for, so one of these numbers is not needed. So what I need to do is figure out, well, which one is my base and which one is my height? Well, here I can see the 90-degree angle, so that makes it pretty easy to figure out that this would be my base and this would be my height, because those are the 2 that form a 90-degree angle. So I would do 8 times 5 divided by 2. 8 times 5 is 40, and 40 divided by 2 is 20. Don't forget units, just like parallelograms. When you're finding area, those units are squared. So that would be 20 inches to the second power, or 20 inches squared. Example 2. Again, we want to do base times height divided by 2. But which 2 are the base and the height? Well, I see a drawn-in measurement here with a 90-degree angle. So that means 12 is my base and 9 is my height. So I want to do 12 times 9 divided by 2. 12 times 9 is 108, and 108 divided by 2 is 54 feet squared. Take a look at these next 2. See if you can do them on your own. I'm not going to give you the answers here. I'll pause for a minute so you have enough time to pause the video before you move on. You're going to try these on your own, and you're going to check these 2 with the substitute when you finish with all the notes. Now, if you look up here, we still have another page. So you're not quite done yet, but you're going to check these 2 with the sub later. And then you're also going to check this with the substitute as well. It says create a triangle that has an area of 30 centimeters squared. It doesn't have to actually be the correct size, so you don't have to like get a ruler and measure out your sides of your triangle so that they're exactly the certain number of centimeters long that you think you need to make an area. But I'm going to give you a helpful hint here. Remember, area is base times height divided by 2. So that means your area of 30 is what you should get when you do base times height divided by 2. You know what? I changed my mind. I'm not going to have you check this one with the sub. I'm just going to pause for a minute and give you a chance to draw it, and then I'll explain it at the end here, because there's actually a lot of answers. So these 2, yes, you're going to check those with the substitute, example 3 and example 4. But this one, pause the video and see if you can draw yourself a triangle that has an area of 30 centimeters squared. All right, let's see how you did. So in order to have an area of 30 centimeters squared, my base times height divided by 2 needs to equal 30. And the common mistake that students make when they do this problem is they think, okay, I need 2 numbers that multiply to 30. So let's see, 10 and 3 multiply to 30. So they draw a triangle. We got a nice right angle there, and they say this is 10 centimeters, this is 3 centimeters. So there's a triangle that has an area of 30. But that's not right. Because if I actually do the area formula for this, area would be base times height divided by 2. Well, my base is 10, my height is 3. So I do get 30, but I still need to divide that 30 by 2. So the area of this triangle is actually 15 centimeters squared. Uh-oh. So what do I need? What base and height do I need to be able to get an area of 30? Well, I needed it to be bigger than 30. In fact, twice as big, because I need to divide by 2 and then get 30. So I have to ask myself, what number divided by 2 equals 30? And that number would be 60. So you guys needed a triangle, and it doesn't have to be a right triangle, but I'm just drawing that because it makes it easy for labeling base and height. You need a triangle who actually, the base and height multiply to 60. So you have a lot of options here. Your base and your height need to multiply to 60. So you could have a good common option here would be 10 and 6. And obviously for all these you could switch it, 6 and 10. I won't keep showing the switch for all of these. You could have 1 and 60. You could have 2 and 30. You could have 3 and 20. You could have 4 and 15. You could have 5 and 12. Those are all the whole number options there. And again, all of these could be reversed for which one's base and this one's height. But all of those would work out if we use this one as an example. If I do 6 times 10 divided by 2, that's 60 divided by 2, which is 30. So just a little reminder there, because this is probably the most commonly made mistake when it comes to triangles, is that your formula is base times height divided by 2. Don't forget that part. All right, go substitute your answers to example 3 and 4. Assuming those are correct, you'll be able to start the homework.